The Meteor 75 Pro is a great little park flyer. With its ducted fan design, it's really going to be able to sustain multiple crashes, as you'll see in the footage behind me, without breaking, and also being able to be in a position where you can turtle mode and flip back over. When compared against something that's equal in class for, the size and being able to zoom around, yes, you will get a little bit better flight performance without the ducks on something like this little toothpick, but it's not going to be nearly as durable, and being able to do turtle mode and being able to take the hits of all the poles and everything without breaking. This will way more likely to break, and it's going to be a lot harder to make sure that parts, the carbon fiber design for this is sustainable into the long-term future. Whereas when you're always looking at something in the whoop class here, these types of frames are going to be made forever and are very agile, flexible, and you're always going to be able to get these kind of frames. They're cheap to get. You can get stacks of them at a time in different colors, and you're not reliant on just one manufacturer for the frame supply into the future. Now, when compared to its little brother, the Meteor 65, and this is the 2001 edition, not the 2002, you can see there's quite a bit of size difference. So this is really small. This is the Pro, but 2001 version, so it only has the 30mm props, versus the Meteor 75 Pro with the 45mm props. Now, doing some comparisons between these two models, you can see I ran the thrust to weight ratio, the disc area to weight, and then just the straight up weight difference between the two. So let's start with weight. Your all-up weight for the Meteor 65 is around 30 grams, where the 75 is going to be around 46 grams, so 16 grams heavier, as you can see there. But when you compare that in a ratio for the disc area compared between the two, you're going to see that the disc area, you have a little bit more disc area divided by the weight. So the ratio between those two, you're going to have a little bit more with the 75 Pro. Take that for what it's worth. It feels a lot more grippy in the air. It's not as floaty, of course, as the lighter weight Meteor 65, but it does have it's faster, and it has some decent amount of grip in the corners for sure. Now, as you can see on the images, I did a scale, just reversing the props, and did some thrust checking on it. And you can see that I am getting a little bit more thrust to weight on the 65 Pro versus 75 Pro. So take that for what it's worth. It's kind of, you have a little bit more disc area, but you are getting more thrust compared to the weight with the 65. Now, as you will probably see in other reviews, if you're going to do straight indoor flying and racing, you probably want something like the 65 Pro. It's lighter weight, so it's not going to bounce in furniture and walls nearly as hard. That lighter weight is going to be less to get changed in direction on your sharp turns if you're doing any racing, things like that. However, if you are going outside with it, or you want something that's a little inside-outside option, definitely the 75 Pro is what I would be looking at to get that versatility. Sure, you can take the 65 out as well, but just that really light weight, it's just more susceptible to wind and things of that nature. Not that this is not susceptible to wind, but definitely for outside and kind of jungle gym ripping or playground, flying, this 75 Pro, I really feel hits the ticket even better than something like a toothpick like this, just because of the durability. This thing will fly and have better flight performance, but it's not going to be nearly as durable in the crashes as this is. I can break these pretty easily. This, as you can see in some of this footage, I'm beating the heck out of it, and it is still doing just fine. Just flips right over and keeps on going. Now, the 75 Pro does come with a custom tune from BETAfpv, and you can see the settings right here. And it's truly customized, which is nice to see for once. You can see for whoops, definitely they have to ramp up the damping and then slide down the tracking a little bit. But there is some room for improvement, some things I would change based on the black box logging. So that's another great thing with the 75 Pro. It actually comes with 8 meg of flash, which is plenty for black box. It's enough to contain a full tuning flight. And so if you have any issues with it, or just want to peek out performance a little bit better, yeah, that's another tool in the tool chest to use. So I took a look at that, and I have some tips for you. So the first thing I would do is go to your Google Chrome browser and go to ESC-configurator.com. From there, you got to plug in your quad, make sure it doesn't connect to Betaflight. You can go ahead and hit connect on here, and then you'll have to plug in a battery. Once the battery is plugged in, you can hit read setup, and that will bring you into the screen I was just at. You can see they have 96 kilohertz PWM loaded here. That's a little high. That's not going to be great for prop wash performance, so we're going to reflash all those ESCs. To do that, we're going to hit flash all ESCs, and from there you can see it selects the ESC type right here, which matches up here at the top. And then go ahead and select the latest version, and then we're going to change that to 48 kilohertz. You can go 24 kilohertz for better prop wash performance, but your battery's life's going to suffer from that. So 48, I think, is a good balance. 96 will give you the most amount of battery life, but the least the amount of performance. So if you're just racing around and prop wash is a big thing, if you're kind of inside, maybe it's fine. But if you're outside, probably 48 is what I would recommend. So after you have that selected, all you have to do is hit flash. While it's going through that process, make sure to put a fan on the VTX so you don't burn it out. Other little tweaks I would make is come in here to the beacon, probably set that for 2 minutes. Everything else looks pretty good to me. So from there, once we just change that to 2 minutes there, that's so if you lose the quad or whatever and it's still plugged in, after 2 minutes, the ESCs will start to beep for you, help you find it. Well, from there, you just go ahead and hit right settings, and then you should be in good shape. So doing a full tuning flight, if you're familiar with black box at all, this looks pretty good for what you see for raw noise right here. That's the little red squiggly lines, and if we run a spectrograph on that, you can see down here, if I look at my roll axis, how that's going to look. So this is looking pretty good. We can see this nice trough, which is exactly what we want to see. We do have a broad spectrum of noise, around 200 hertz and up, all the way up to around 675 hertz, somewhere in that, and that is the motor band. And also this is probably where the frame is vibrating. We do have that plastic frame, which is very durable and flexible, but yeah, it will have a little bit more vibrations in this, but that's not an issue. From 200 to whatever, 380, we can definitely crush that down with some filtering. So the first tip I would do is take the harmonics for the RPM filter down to just one harmonic. You can see we don't get much over the motor band for the second harmonic, so we don't need those 2 extra filters. That just trims off very little bit, but nevertheless, I would bump up the number of notches, set this to 300 for the Q factor, and then move the minimum to around 150. So what we're trying to do with that is, you can see from 150 hertz up to 400 hertz around here, we're trying to really focus 2 dynamic notches in this zone to help crush this this peaks of noise down here for the filtering. So it's going to have 2 dynamic notches roaming around in 150 hertz to 400 hertz. By taking this Q factor here to 300 instead of 500, it's going to make those notches just a little bit wider. And so instead of being something like this, they'll be like that, a little bit wider, and just kind of focus that area in. And then that's going to add some more latency. So we're going to trim off some of that just a little bit by moving the harmonics down at the RPM filters. So that's one bit of advice right there. Any differences from here, if we wanted to thin out or make the filtering heavier or lighter, we would just adjust this gyro filter slider. Of course, rates are rates. Put in your favorite rates, whatever you want to do for rates right here. Then in looking at some of the twitch moves, just twitching back and forth, you can see I'm kind of overshooting the moves here. So that means it needs even a little bit more damping than it already has. So you can see that on the roll axis, we continue to overshoot, overshoot, overshoot. And then we do the same on the pitch axis. Not as much overshoot, so it's more on the roll than on the pitch. But we still have, man, pitch axis is pretty dang close to being where it needs to be. You can see it's not this, this cyan line is not nearly overshooting the green line as much as it was on the roll. So here on the roll, you can definitely see it's overshooting there. So we need a little bit more damping there. Checking out the yaw, we're looking pretty good on the yaw axis. So what they have in there is pretty snappy on the yaw axis. It did have just the ever so slight washout from a dive, but not really bad at all. So I probably would leave the yaw PIDs at where they're at. But let's go take a look at the roll axis and see how we can tweak that out. So on the PIDs, the first thing I would do is they have dynamic damping turned down pretty good. So I would just turn it down the rest of the way just to simplify things. To each their own on that, but that's what I would do. And then it will help with getting the D gains as high as possible for the best prop wash performance. So yeah, it's almost all the way down. So just take that down all the rest of the way. And then you can see our D gains here. Now it's a little simpler. These are the same thing. You can see it's 52 and 59. So what I want to do is bump this up. So I'm going to go up to, it was at 1.45. I'm going to take that up to 1.65. So that's going to take this up to 59. And then I want to adjust this back down so that this is around 59. So you can see it was 59 before, or 60. That's close enough. And that will give us more damping on the roll axis, but keep essentially the same amount of damping on the pitch axis, since that was looking pretty good already. So we basically took this from a 54 up to a 59 value. So essentially these are the same between the two. You could probably, you could do something like that, I guess. Let's see here, that would probably be good. Just a little bit more damping. Essentially, I'm setting these two to the same value, and that should be pretty good. You can see these are practically the same value here as well. And then this is a whoop, so we definitely want to crank up that feed forward. Personally, I would crank it the whole way up. Whoops are usually not very fast to respond. You can see just by looking at the log here, again, the amount of delay between the sticks is my green line and the quad actually moving. This is probably like 10 milliseconds or 15 milliseconds, depends. You can see it widens out. But yeah, cranking up feed forward will take care of that. And you can see some of this overshooting, things like that, that's going on here with that too much push, not enough damping. So we're looking to fix that there. Well, that's it for this little guy. I hope you found that helpful and useful. Check it out with those settings. I think you'll really enjoy the increased flight performance with it. If you did find this helpful, can I remind you, I do have a Patreon. Links down in the video description. For as little as $2 a month, you can help support the channel. Again, link down in the description. I also have links down there where you can pick this little sucker up if you don't have one already. And if you do get one, again, check out, first fly it the way it is stock. Don't be changing things right away. But yeah, check out those changes to the ESC settings. Really just taking it down to 48K instead of 96K. And then some of those filter tweaks and PID tweaks. And I think you'll really enjoy the increased flight performance. Thanks, everybody. And I hope this helped.